Hi folks, I'm Greg McLawsen, the Affidavit of Support lawyer. I've spent the past 10 years representing plaintiffs in federal litigation to enforce the USCIS Form I-864. Now, the Affidavit of Support is a contract between a sponsor and the United States government. And so you might think that the government enforces the Affidavit of Support contract. And if the sponsor violates the contract, it's the U.S. government that comes after them to make the sponsor live up to their obligation. But in fact, that's not the way it works. Actually, it is the green card holder or the sponsored immigrant, the person who benefits from the Affidavit of Support. It's that person who has both the ability and, if they want, the responsibility to enforce the Affidavit of Support contract. Let's take a closer look at this. So within the Affidavit of Support, there are two distinct obligations on the part of the sponsor, and lawyers get confused about this a lot, so let's separate them. On the one hand, the sponsor has an obligation to repay the government if the green card holder takes public benefits. So this applies to federally funded means-tested public benefits like Medicaid, TANF, which is cash benefits, food stamps, also called SNAP. If the sponsored immigrant gets any of these benefits while the Affidavit of Support is enforceable, the federal government or a state government can sue the sponsor and get back the cost of those benefits. So to think about it in easy terms, if the green card holder gets $10,000 worth of Medicaid benefits, the state of Arizona can sue the sponsor and get back that $10,000. Now, as a side note, there's no jurisdiction in the United States that currently is doing that on a large scale basis, but it is a right that the government has if they decide to enforce it. However, all of this having to do with means-tested public benefits is totally separate from the second obligation that a sponsor has, which is to ensure that the immigrant, the green card holder, has income equal or above 125% of the poverty guideline. Now, this is the part of the contract that most green card holders are interested in because it's the obligation by the sponsor to make sure that the green card holder has actual income, money in their pocket. Now, this second obligation is not enforceable by the government. Right there in the statute at 8 U.S.C. 1183A, which is the section dealing with the Affidavit of Support, there's one provision that has to do with the government side of things when it comes to means-tested benefits, Medicaid, and all of that. That provision says that the government can enforce that part of the contract. However, when it comes to this entitlement by the green card holder to income support, the government does not have the ability to enforce that part of the contract. Instead, what you have in the statute is what is called a private right of action, which means that the statute specifically gives the immigrant the ability to sue the sponsor for support. That's at 8 U.S.C. 1183A E1. It says that the immigrant can go to any appropriate court and enforce the contract against the sponsor. On top of that, there is an attorney fee provision in the statute, which means that if the sponsored immigrant has to sue the sponsor for support, she can recover the costs and legal fees associated with that lawsuit, which is important because those are going to be expensive if you have to take the sponsor to federal court. But what the statute does not say is that if you have a situation where the green card holder is unemployed and needs financial assistance from their sponsor, what the immigrant cannot do is rely on a federal or state government entity to come in and enforce the contract for them. There simply is no authority in the statute to let the government do that. If you talk to your local DHS caseworker, and they even know what you're talking about, they won't be able to tell you, okay, great, we will swing into action, and we, the state of Arizona or the state of New York, will force the sponsor to provide the income support to you that you're entitled to. The government just doesn't have a right to do that. Instead, the green card holder is on their own when it comes to enforcing the affidavit. They are the only person who has the legal authority to make the sponsor pay the income support that they are entitled to. And so, if you are in that situation, it's on your shoulders to figure out what to do, which is why it's especially helpful to have the assistance of an attorney. And that's where that attorney fee provision in the statute comes in very handy. Because if you were left on your own, without that attorney fee provision, you would have to pay a private attorney to bring a lawsuit and enforce the affidavit of support against the sponsor. But since there is that attorney fee provision in the contract, an attorney can work for you, recover money from the sponsor, and then the sponsor pays the attorney fees for the immigrant as well. If you have a potential claim under the affidavit of support, you're welcome to reach out to me. I work with clients all across the United States, and we've sued sponsors successfully in federal district courts all over the United States. Feel free to drop a comment here. Happy to answer questions, or reach out to us on our website, and I'm happy to offer you a confidential consultation anywhere in the United States. Hope that's helpful. Take care, everyone.